Now, have you been looking into buying a tent box roof tent and you've come across something called roof load limits? Well, I know it's probably mind-boggling and I'm going to explain it all for you, but if you haven't come across roof load limits and you're thinking about buying a tent box, then thank your lucky stars that you found this video. It's really important, if you don't already, that you understand what roof load limits are, what they mean, what the differences are, and how it will affect you buying a tent box. So stick with me, I'll get straight into it. Hey guys, what's happening? It's Chris here, and firstly, I just wanted to say welcome to the channel. If you're new here, remember to like this video and give me a little subscribe. I've got a lot of content on this channel, tent box related and otherwise, for you to check out after you've watched this video. For those of you who followed me for a little while, welcome back. Now, this video is going to explain what roof load limits are and how it all works. So I'm going to get straight into it with the help of this little Jurassic World Jeep that I picked up off the market today. 20 pence, and it's going to help me explain what roof load limits are. So this vehicle, the Jurassic World Jeep, will represent your vehicle if you're thinking about buying a tent box. And in this situation, the tent box is going to be represented by this little snack pack of raisins that's going to sit on top of this Jeep as the rooftop tent. What roof load limits essentially means is it's the amount of weight you can carry on top of your vehicle safely and legally, okay? Now, every vehicle has a different roof load limit, and I'm going to explain more about it in a second. But firstly, I just want to mention that there's two types of roof load limits, and a lot of people get these confused, so I'm going to explain that now. So essentially, what you've got is two types of roof load limits. You've got something called dynamic roof load limit and static roof load limit. Now, essentially, dynamic roof load limit means the limit you can carry on your vehicle while it's in motion, okay? So while you're driving, it's the amount you can carry on the roof safely and legally. The second type of roof load limit is something called static roof load limit, and that's the amount of weight you can carry on top of your vehicle while it's stationary and parked. Okay, so there's a big difference. Dynamic while you're driving, static while you're parked. Now, the reason that there's a big difference between these two is because the static roof load limit while you're stationary is a lot higher than the dynamic roof load limit. And I'm going to explain more about dynamic roof load limit now. So the reason every vehicle has a different roof load limit, and the reason your vehicle will have a roof load limit, is because what it can do is affect the handling of your vehicle. So if you've got too much weight on the top of your vehicle, if you were going around a corner, for example, if you've got too much weight on top, you could tip your vehicle over. Now, obviously, nobody wants this. It's unsafe for you and everybody else on the road. So this is why, one of the reasons why every vehicle has a roof load limit. The second reason that it's really important, so that's obviously safety is one reason why you don't want to exceed your roof load limit. The second reason is because if you do exceed your roof load limit, you'll invalidate your insurance, okay, your car insurance. Now, obviously insurance companies don't like paying out anyway, so we don't want to give them an excuse not to pay out. But ultimately, it comes back to the first thing, which is about safety. You want to be safe for you and everybody else on the road. So it's really important that you don't exceed your roof load limit. Now, you might be wondering, well, how do I know what my roof load limit is? So it's always written in every vehicle's manual. So in the manual for your vehicle, which I have stored in my glove box, probably a lot of other people do as well, it'll tell you in there what your roof load limit is. Now, if you're not sure or you can't find your manual, the next best thing to do is reach out to the TentBox product specialists. If you're thinking about buying a tent box, reach out to their product specialists. They'll be able to advise you on what your vehicle's roof load limit is. Now, I'm going to put this down for a second. The reason why roof load limits are important, like I said, we don't want to be unsafe and we don't want to invalidate your insurance, but ultimately what your vehicle's roof load limit is potentially going to dictate what tent you can get. Now, tent boxes all weigh different weights, okay? So the lighter ones, like the light models or the TentBox Gos, they weigh less, whereas the hard shell tents, like the Classic 2.0 and the Cargo 2.0, they weigh more, okay? So a vehicle with a lower roof load limit probably won't be able to take something like a Classic or a Cargo, okay? Now, as a general rule of thumb, and bear in mind what I'm saying here is not absolute legal expert advice, but it is, I know what I'm talking about, is a general rule of thumb is The bigger the vehicle and the meatier and meaner the vehicle, the bigger the roof load limit. So for example, something like a Fiat 500 will have a lower vehicle roof load limit than something like a Land Rover Defender or a van, okay? Just as a rule of thumb. Now, like I said, you can check your vehicle's manual or speak to TentBox to find out your exact roof load limit. Now, you might be looking at a certain tent, so you might be looking at the TentBox Cargo, for example. But one of the big things that will often dictate what tent you're able to buy will be what your roof load limit is. So if you're one of the lucky ones where you have a vehicle that will take all of the TentBox models because you have a higher roof load limit, great. If you are somebody who has a smaller vehicle, that, like say for example you've got a 50 kilo roof load limit, you're going to only be able to put on the Lite 2.0 or the TentBox Go. So if you're starting to look at tents, have a look at the models you like, identify which one you might want, check what your roof load limit is, check what the weight of the tent is, put the two together, and hopefully you're winning with your first choice. But just remember, it's really important that you check. Now, I've talked there about dynamic roof load limits. Let's talk a little bit about static roof load limits. Now, I've seen many people over the years confuse the two, static and dynamic, and it's easy to understand. It's easy to misunderstand when you're getting into this. So static roof load limit, like I mentioned earlier, is a lot more than a dynamic roof load limit. And as a general rule of thumb, the static roof load limit is about 5 times what the dynamic is. So let's say you have a vehicle that has a 75 kilo dynamic roof load limit. Then in theory, you'll be able to put 5 times that on in static. Now let me explain the practicalities of this. One thing I forgot to mention actually really quick is the limit that's in your manual. When I said look in your manual for your vehicle's roof load limit, that will always be dynamic weight limit. Okay, it will never be static, but static is about 5 times that number. So a 75 kilo limit dynamically will be about 375 for the static. Okay, now this is important because I see lots of posts from people who say, well, hang on a minute, it's a 75 kilo roof limit, but then I've got me, my partner, my kids, that's gonna weigh a lot more than 75 kilos. Well, of course it will. And that's where we look at static roof load limit, because you're only ever gonna be up there in the tent while you're static, okay? So we've got a lot more weight to play with. Now, one thing to consider, which is really simple to understand, is there's a lot of people who worry about whether their vehicle will take the weight of everybody sleeping on top, okay? Now, just consider that inside your vehicle, it's made out of a metal frame, steel, probably a steel frame or something like that. Now, that steel frame or the metal frame is designed to take care of your family and save you in the impact of a crash. So if your vehicle crashes and has a smash, that frame is designed to take that impact as best it can. So if we're talking about you lying on top of it while you're on a metal sheet with a tent, you'll be absolutely fine. Do you know what I mean? I appreciate it's easy to misunderstand when you're new to this. It took me a little while. But with regards to will it be okay sleeping on top of the vehicle, yes, is probably the short answer. Now, one thing I wanted to explain while on that is all of the TentBox models have a 300 kilo limit, okay? What that means is inside the tent can sleep or can fit up to 300 kilos. So for example, if there's 2 of you, as long as both of you don't exceed 300 kilos together, you're fine. In the Lite XL, it's a 4-person tent. So as long as 4 people don't exceed 300 kilos, you're fine, it's okay. And like I said, a lot of vehicles will have that 5 times limit. It's gonna take the impact of a crash, do you know what I mean? Like you'll be absolutely fine up there. So what I would advise, if you're looking to buy a tent box, is check out the models of tent boxes, find one that you like, see what the weight of that tent is, and then firstly, make sure that you don't exceed your vehicle's dynamic roof load limit. It'll tell you in your manual. If you're not sure, speak to TentBox, okay? Then the second thing to do is if you identify the tent you want, add up everyone's weights. Now everyone's weight's gonna fluctuate a little bit, but generally speaking, with a cushion, make sure, I don't mean a physical cushion, like as in see what everybody weighs, add a little bit on extra for a cushion and give yourself a little bit of breathing space, and make sure that the people who are sleeping up in the tent don't exceed that 300 kilos, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully I've explained it in a way that's simple and easy to understand. So like I said, dynamic weight, static weight is stationary. Want to make sure that the tent you put on top is not going to break the dynamic speed, the dynamic roof load limit, or the static roof load limit when you've got people up inside of it. Hopefully I've explained that simply. And if you have any questions, make sure to pop them in the comments and I'll happily get back to you. But that's it from me. I wanted to make this video short and sweet. I hope you found it helpful. Remember, have a look at all the videos on my channel for more content about TentBox and other adventure and camping related videos. I'm gonna have a lot of stuff on there. And also remember, in the description to this video and all my other videos, you'll find a discount code, not just for TentBox, but also for other products and accessories that I use as well while I'm away traveling and camping, okay? So that's it from me. I'm gonna love you and leave you. I'll catch you in the next one.